right. Well, as you can tell, we're talking a little bit about slide here now. We've been playing some slide in something that many of you may have tried in your spare time or maybe trying full-time, which is playing it in standard tuning. And Mick is giving quite an elaborate display of standard tuning prowess here on the slide, and I'd like to be able to dissect some of what you're doing for the students out there. Now, one thing you're doing which is incredible to me, being a slide player myself, I like to finger pick the slide playing, but you're doing this all with a flat pick.
Yeah, well, I play, even if I'm playing regular style guitar, I've always tended to use a pick, and I find that I've got more control over the length of the notes, the sustain, the way I play, etc. So I've just developed that style of playing in regular tuning with a slide. And basically what I try and do is just duplicate the normal style of blues guitar playing, but with a slide effect.
Now, how about the damping? There must be an incredible amount of string dampening that you're using.
Yeah, you have to use your right hand to control the notes. And if you just rest your right hand above the bridge here. And of course also with your left hand, you depending on what finger you have the slide on, you use the rest of the fingers as a sort of support system to
and they damp out the overtones back there.
Yeah, and you know, it's possible to play all sorts of riffs with a slide, and in fact you can interchange between the two.
Of course, one of the things that's essential to slide playing is being able to find common positions where there's either 3 notes or 2 notes next to each other that are chord-like. Now, for example, if you wanted to play in the key of E like we just did, what particular little box positions do you find your most chord riffs and single note riffs around?
Well, as far as getting a complete chord with the slide, I suppose it would be on the E position here.
So on the 9th fret?
On the 9th fret, and these 3 strings here, these 3 notes here.
Right, the D, G, and B strings.
Would give you, your most full chord.
So you find a lot of the notes right below there. There's sort of a little box pattern.
I find most of the notes around there, but you can go up higher as well to the E position here. You can do stuff like that, which you would normally do in regular tuning, which you would normally play with your fingers.
Exactly. So you have to be able to find those positions. And of course, you must be directly over the fret itself, as opposed to in between.
Yeah, you've got to be directly over the fret, otherwise, you'll produce
a flat tone.
A flat tone. It will be out of tune.
Yeah.
That you basically control that by making sure that you use your fingers here to control what you're playing, and also the right hand here to dampen the strings.
Right. Now for the open positions, where say you're playing a lick that without slide sounds like, how would you play that with this? You see that again, real fast? Okay, and you're coming straight across with the pick and you're damping out the G and B string as need be. Because with slide players...
Sort of immediately after you've played the note, really.
Exactly. Of course, you're phrasing, just like with fretting, where you're actually pulling off with the slide.
Yeah, it would be this.
Yeah. So the pull-off is actually, the weight of the slide is pulling it down.
Yeah, you're getting that slur there, yeah.
Now also the vibrato vibrato is key to slide playing. Because anytime something is sustaining a little bit longer than a half a second, it seems like you need that vibrato, and it's a whole different approach. It seems like it's more of an averaging out of the situation around the fret. In other words, you have to go above and below it the same distance.
Yeah.
Right, it can get pretty extreme. So the box pattern is not too different than in open tuning, which is something we're going to get onto. But
Yeah, the open tuning.
But this is really.
Slide
Do you feel that it's more difficult than open tuning? To play in standard tuning slide? Is it
Well,
more
I find that if you use the open tunings, the traditional blues open tunings for slide, I mean, they're great, but you can fall into various patterns and cliches because they are specifically designed to play a certain way.
Yes.
I haven't heard too many people that actually play slide in regular tuning. There was a guitarist called Earl Hooker that did it, a blues player.
Yeah, you were telling me
And
that.
that's where I
had no
got the idea of doing it from. When I first heard him play, though, on record, I just assumed he had an incredible vibrato with his fingers, but it was actually slide.
Yeah, well, B.B. King says he was he created his vibrato when he was
From
trying
listening to Bottleneck,
yeah, listening to Booker White and people like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, why don't we move on now to some work in
In the open
E-tuning,
tunings,
open E-tuning.